minor, and we are at 130 BPM, which is pretty standard for EDM. I can't believe I just saw it a second ago. I already forgot. It is B minor. Perfect. Let's close the stuff we don't need on stream. Okay. B minor. Got it. And it's at 130. So let's see what it sounds like. I'm pretty sure the acapella and the instrumental should be lined up. If not, I'll line them up right now. Act like an angel. Oh yeah, it's not. Act like an angel, just like crazy. There you go. Ugh. Okay. Wait, did I download the song and not the instrumental? No, it says instrumental right here. So I don't know what's up with it. Right, this has to be perma. Like locked. Okay. Doesn't sound like an instrumental to me. This is not even the instrumental, bro. Okay, hold on. Okay. We're not showing free ads here. But I'm going to shout out this website. If you guys don't know about downloading videos from YouTube. Oh, YT1 got taken down? What? That's so whack. Okay. There's other YouTube downloads out there. Like this one. Okay, perfect. Now that we have that, we can go back to Ableton. I do this. I know it's probably not the best way to do it. But, I mean, whatever. Ugh, I hate Ableton 12 when it has this stupid thing. In Ableton 10, you would be able to just click here, drag down, and you zoom in. Here, you have to find stupid fucking... Like, where is it? There it is. So annoying. Okay. Also, another thing that I don't like about Ableton 12, now that I'm going on this fucking rant. Let's say that you want to delay a track. Specifically, you want to delay this track a little bit behind of this one. In Ableton 10 and Ableton 11, you would be able, there was this button right here which said, I forgot what it said, something about I/O or something like that. Input output controls. You click on that button and all of a sudden you get the delay of the track right here. Now you don't, which is super annoying. You have to go to help, search up delay compensation. Is it? No, it's track delay. Or not. Oh, track controls. Yeah, there you go. Track options. Even worse. There you go. Now you have this latency thingy right here. But it's super annoying. You can't just have it here. Toggle it with a little button right here. Maybe it exists somewhere out there. If somebody knows about this, let me know. Although there's nobody watching, so it's fine. Okay, so what was I gonna do? I was going to line this up first. Yeah, it's at 130. There's no need to warp it. I feel like it's not lined up. Am I crazy? No, yeah, it's... Also, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm using Ableton to EQ my own mic. So I have this stupid little EQs here. RVox for some gates. I got the gain up. I could turn on auto-tune so I could sing to you guys hello, which I'm not gonna have on the whole time. F6, just some quick EQing. I know this looks like a monstrosity, but my microphone is a little bit broken, so it doesn't have a lot of it doesn't capture the high end the way that an SM7B regularly would. So I have to do this additive EQ with an F6 too, of all things. I have the two-way right here, which is telling me that it's peaking. No, it's not. That's the input. It's coming out -12. The output is not coming out 0, which I guess it's fine. SSL EQ, pretty basic. Nothing crazy. I got a de-esser here. See how it kind of gets rid of the S's. I got a CLA 76. I think I went a little bit crazy. I don't need this much. I definitely do not need this much. Okay. So now that it's lined up, we can listen to what it is. We can't listen to the whole song because I guess I'll get copyrighted, but let's listen to the instrumental and start remaking it. We have a bass, top bass, sub bass, claps, hi-hats, kick, hi-hat, easy. What? I like that. Oh my god, I have terrible posture. Okay. Do you have reverb and delay on the... Why? I mean, I guess to make it all cohesive. They pass everything through the same reverb in the mixing. Oh my god. Wow. Look at this production. Is that crazy? Am I crazy? That is insane. Sounds like there's 2 synths in there. Okay, it looks like there's only like four synths here, which before the stream I kind of I cheated. I recreated I did all the serum stuff, so all the synthesizing and all that good stuff is not going to be done in this video or stream. I can do it, but I feel like that's just more editing for me. I'm only going to focus on the Ableton and production aspects of it, not so much sound design. That's another video. So let's get started with this. I already went through and in my user library I prepared where is it, samples, crazy. So I prepared all the instrumental parts, which I think the easiest thing to start with is probably like a kick, or let's start with the bass if that's what it starts with. I mean, first thing we got to do is just figure out what notes. So let's drop in serum. Oof, okay, that's really loud. Is that what they're doing? Maybe we're an octave up. Yeah, because it's in B minor. Of course it's in B. I guess maybe the harmonic is here. Okay. I feel like the bass is doing a different note than the... How did I not notice that before? Okay, well, we're starting with the bass, with the sub bass, which I have here in my user. Sub almost acoustic is what I called it, because it basically sounds almost acoustic. Whoop. Oh yeah, see, so the bass is doing a different note. Bass is doing E. Okay. Okay, so let's record that really quick. Okay, it's too far. Okay. Simple enough. Oh, it's gonna record my vocal every time. Maybe I need to connect the microphone somewhere else and EQ it somewhere else. But for now, whatever. We already have an Ableton. No problem. No big deal. So let's fix that. Again, all I did there was Command U. That just quantizes it to whatever the grid is on, which currently it looks like it is. Oh my god, again with Ableton 12 and your stupid fucking layout. Pitch and time. Grid. The grid is currently, I think it's, yeah, so it's quantizing to the grid. If I were to change this over to 1, then I think, oh no, I guess not. Command Shift U is usually what I do for the quantization. Oh, there it is. Okay, transform. It's not pitch and time. Quantize on the grid, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, and 32nd notes. I think I'm going to do grid because that looks like 1, 2, 3, 16th notes. I can't believe I had to count that. So now we have 2 basses going on. We got this one. We have that one. Which, to kind of single it out, we can use a filter right here. It sounds like it has an impact, but I think the impact is from the top bass. We'll see. Goes on longer than that. I put Command Shift U on accident. Whoopsie. I mean Command Option Shift U. Maybe I could just make it legato. Fuck it. I don't like that clicking that it does. Where's that click coming from? Well, it's supposed to have an impact anyways. I guess it's fine. It doesn't really matter. Point is, wow, that's terrible. What the hell? That's so stupid. Why would I do that? And the compressor, let's just add some more gain. Or not. Oh, yeah, compressor, sorry. Wow. So what's going on here? Why is it so low? Oh, okay. I forgot why. Again, that's why I said I wasn't going to do sound design on this stream. Because I started with these. Shit, I'll just go back to how it was. Sub, almost acoustic. I did this specifically. I specifically designed it to have very low input and then a very high output gain because it would give me the softness that I needed for this bass. So yeah, we already did that. If you guys want to go over this, we can go over it really quick. So basically, this is Serum for everyone who, if you had questions about this because you know how to use Serum. Serum right here, we have 3 different oscillators. One of which you can't really control much. Is just a subwave, not a subwave, a sine wave, regular sine wave, saw wave, square wave, whatever you want. You can control the octave, the panning. This right here, I'm going to shut up for a little bit so you can just hear the bass. This is where the clicking is coming from, because it's just pure sub bass. Now we also have this filtered square wave, which just kind of pairs nicely with it. And then we have this on, which isn't really doing anything. I just kind of left it there by accident, to be honest. Okay, so we were going to do, right, so let's call this bass. Let's give it an appropriate color. For me, bass is brown. It's always been brown. I don't know. Now, we said that they were doing different notes. On here. So let's go to user. And I saved in the other, I think I called it top bass pluck. Okay. Again, super loud. Top bass pluck. So this one. Okay, so this one right here, really basically, again, I have the sub oscillator, which isn't really doing anything. The volume's all the way down. That's what it was sounding like if it were up. We have a noise right here, which is not an oscillator, but it gives you different waveforms that you could use. This one is called a wood hit. That's to use the phase. This means, what does this mean? This is useful if you load a sound which you would like to have play non-looping. Okay, I don't. Oh, I do. This one is non-looping. And then this one, it means that it turns it melodic. So whatever it is that I'm doing, if it's not on, it just clicks. It plays the sample itself. But if I put this on, then it starts changing the pitch of the sample based on what MIDI controls I send to it, which allows me to do this. After that, I have a second oscillator, or the first oscillator, which is a slightly distorted sine layer. It has a unison, so it's not phased. That's not what you call it. So the detuned and the blend and this, it doesn't really matter because it's in unison. It doesn't have any. I gotta remember what you call that. I don't remember what you call that. Anyway. So we have that. Obviously, it sounds like it's almost there. It's not there yet. So this nostalgic thing, I had to draw this in myself by going in here. And you could just, yeah, I think I started with a different kind of wave and then changed the harmonics around. Pretty standard. So let's see. Sounds pretty good. Bass pluck. Bass pluck. Beautiful. Okay, so we got that done. Actually, I never tested if Ableton was sending audio to the stream. I'm gonna do that right now. That'd be so funny if it's not even sending any audio. Bass pluck. Oh, it is. Great. Perfect. Bass pluck. All right, dope. Now we can go to, I think maybe this vocal could be at -15. I don't need it to be louder than everything else. All right. Let's compare that to this. I feel like the original one has more of oh. Yeah, I just had this turned on. Okay, so I felt like it needed a little bit more saturation in top part of the bass, like mid lows, I mean, which it did. I just turned it off for no reason. I'm an idiot. All right, it already sounds a little better. Great. Melody. Shout out Project Melody. Let's go. This is the bass. Let's add in some drums, which I also separated already. All right. Inside user library, I have my clap, which again, I already kind of worked on. So, oh, we don't have sausage fattener on this laptop. I did most of this work on my studio laptop, and I was gonna record this in the studio, but I didn't do that. So we have some plugins here that are not available on this laptop, only on the studio computer. So the sausage fattener is gone, dimension expander is gone, big deal. So let's draw in the pattern first. Okay, so it only starts here. So it has a little bit of a reverb. Again, I only did it on the track because so I could showcase everything. Usually what I would do is have a reverb send. So what that means is you have these little sends here in Ableton, and you can send it, whatever's coming out of the master track, you can send it here to any track, a return track. For example, this one controls how much is sent to the first return track, which happens to have a reverb on it. Usually the preset that Ableton gives you for reverb is garbage, so I edited mine. And now it sounds a little more like this. We don't need that much. We don't need any of it actually, because I've made a reverb rack in here. So I can just remake this really quick. Basically, we're gonna copy this, reverb and a compressor. And we're gonna create a reverb rack. So we already have these sounds. We know this is what the effects, we want the effects to sound like for sure. We want that to be the reverb on the clap, but we don't want to do this, because what happens if halfway through the production you need more reverb? Then you're going to change the dry wet. The problem with changing the dry wet knob is that it also changes the volume of the original song, of the original sound. So if it's 100% wet, it goes 100% to just the reverb, just what the reverb is doing. If it's 0%, it's only what the original sound is. Thing is though, that to actually be able to control it more well, you could usually either send it in a return track, and then in the return track you can edit the reverb however you want, put an EQ, compressor, ducker, whatever. Or inside the same Ableton track, you can group together, for example, this reverb and the compressor, or let's just not talk about the compressor right now, just this reverb. And if you click this one button, so let's do that again. Again, all I did right here is this. I have this reverb. Now I'm gonna make a group out of it by going Command G, or I think you can right click, group right here. Now by clicking these buttons, it gives you the tracks. So now you can put multiple tracks and audio effects in here. So let's call the original one OG track. And then let's insert this reverb here and call that reverb track. So this is the original one. This is the reverb track. Now we can put it at 100% wet and we can fade it in. Now the reason why I had this way is because I wanted to do, so they call this sidechain right here. It's not really a sidechain. I'm gonna nerd out really quick. A sidechain is a signal. So when you have a compressor right here, you send a signal to a compressor, which is a dynamic device, I guess. You send the audio to the compressor, and the compressor, what it does is it splits the signal into two parts. The signal that is actually going to be affected by the compressor, and the signal that is going to be analyzed for the compression. Because if you guys are already familiar with the compressor, you can see, I hate this view by the way. You can see that the basics of a compressor are this. You have, let's close this audio effect rack. You have the threshold, which decides at what point it starts compressing. The dynamic device actually starts acting on the actual sound. That's what the threshold is. When it goes louder than this specific value, which you set right here, minus 14 decibels, minus 20 decibels, when the sound passes that threshold, then this compressor will act upon that sound. So to be able to do that though, like we talked about a couple seconds ago, the compressor itself has to have two identical signals. One signal that it's going to act on and one signal that it's going to receive information from. Now, why would it need that? Because it has these other knobs right here. They're not called knobs. These other parameters, which is called the attack. The attack decides how quickly the compressor starts working after the input signal surpasses the threshold. So once the input signal becomes louder than minus 15.6 dB, the compressor will wait, right now, for example, 1 millisecond, which is nothing. 1 millisecond to turn on and start acting. The release is the opposite. Well, not the opposite, but the flip side of that, where it decides how quickly the compressor will disengage or stop acting on that signal. Thus, as soon as how quickly the compressor will stop working after the input signal, remember the signal that we're acting on, drops below the threshold which we set. So for example, if I were to set this threshold at 0, it's never going to reach that threshold, so it's never going to act on it. But if I bring the threshold down to minus 20, for example, you can see that it has 5 dBs of gain reduction. Now, after this original sound drops back below the threshold, that is where the release comes in, because the release decides how quickly the compressor stops working on the original sound after the input signal reaches or falls below the original threshold which we set, which happens to be minus 20 dB. So if the release is 3 seconds, then that means after the signal drops below the threshold, the compressor will wait 3 additional seconds after disengaging. That's why you can see that it has constant gain reduction here. But if I make the release 1 millisecond, which again is nothing, the human brain can perceive differences in auditory differences in 10 milliseconds. And that's in rare circumstances. So 1 millisecond, you're not going to be able to hear the difference. But if you wanted to keep compressing, for example, let's say that the threshold is surpassed by this initial peak. And then let's say that these right here are actually super low. But you want to keep compressing these parts. What you would do here is you set the release to be the length of what you wanted to compress. So if I only wanted to compress this, then I set the attack super low and the release super low. It only acts on this peak. But if I set the release to be longer, then it'll act on this and 30 milliseconds after. Maybe you could do 60 milliseconds after, right here. And then you will see that it will continue to act after just the peak. Oh. Even here. Oh, no, not here. Right here. Anyway, that's not what I'm using the compressor for. The reason why I went on this whole rant about sidechains is that, oh wow, look at that. We have one person in chat. Nice. I post my music on, you know what, let me put the link. Although I don't really use Spotify anymore, I don't post any new music, but if you want to check out some of my old stuff, you can look me up. I'm not even that popular, that's why I don't show up. Artists. Let's see. Wow, I guess I really am not popular at all. Maybe I'll look it up in my liked songs. Can't even do that. Wow. Just use the app. I don't know why I'm doing this on the website. Ta-da, ta-da. Okay, DJ Moy. Damn. Okay, search within here. There you go. This is me. I guess I'm able to play this on stream because it's my music, but I'd rather not risk it. Sorry that I don't have a second monitor. So You guys are going to be seeing all this. Let's go here, channel, to my live stream. There you go. Perfect. So that's my old music. If you want to listen to it, it's right there. Right now what we're doing though is I am live streaming so that I can clip it and put together a video doing kind of like a tutorial on how to recreate the song Crazy by serum. I guess that's how you pronounce it. We can listen to the instrumental for a little bit so you kind of have an idea. I'm not sure when you joined the stream, but this is what it sounds like. Again, this is the original song. This is not my recreation or my instrumental. This is the original instrumental. And what we're going to be trying to do is recreate it. Which, this production is amazing. Insane production. So you guys probably know the song. If you don't know the song, it's a K-pop song. It's pretty popular. It was popping off on TikTok a couple months ago. Or a year ago. My God. Anyway, so what we have so far is that we have the original bass. We have this. So we have that bass. We have the bass plug, or the bass pluck. We have the clap. And that is currently what we're working on. We are currently working on this clap because I wanted to have a little bit of reverb, but I don't want the reverb to sound at the same time that the clap sounds. I want it to have a little bit of a ducking effect, which is why we're talking about this compressor and what it calls a sidechain. So a sidechain is the signal that the compressor uses to analyze the signal. A sidechain is a copy of the original input signal that the compressor uses to realize when it's going to act and when it's not going to act. The thing is that you can actually set an external sidechain source. And for example, this time I'm going to have it be the actual clap itself, pre-effects, so that when the clap comes in, the compressor acts and pushes the volume down. Now, what I am doing here is I am placing this compressor onto the same channel that is receiving the reverb. That way, it'll duck down when the clap comes in. So it'll sound like this. Not doing a great job. See how it kind of pushes it down when the clap comes in and then the reverb comes out? So I don't want it to be that exaggerated, obviously. Maybe a little bit more, less release. Yeah, definitely zero attack. So it kind of has a little bit of a pumping. It gives it a little bit more space and doesn't clash with it. Because if I turn off this compressor, see how the reverb just kind of comes in like super quick? I don't like that. Now it has this kind of little pumping effect, which is what I hear in the song. Obviously not that loud. Maybe it's like a -30. -22, whatever. So we have a hi-hat. We have a hi-hat, which we can add right here. Let's call this hats. Now this hi-hat, I had to search for it. I had to find it. Okay, so let's mute this and listen to ours. I'm gonna turn on the AC. There you go. A little better. So the hi-hat didn't do much. It's just some simple EQing. I did this, which not really necessary. You could just do that, honestly. Now this little hi-hat, regularly it doesn't sound like that, but I pitched it up a little bit so that it sounds more like the one in the song. So if you listen to it by itself, without me pitching it up, it sounds like this. After pitching it up, it sounds like this. See how it's a little more similar? Just a little bit of a detail, not you know, nothing crazy. It looks like we're done with this first part of the song, so let's go to the second part of the song. With a kick. Has a kick. Sounds like that's the only difference. And the what? And the little... So let's duplicate this over. I feel like this clap is super bright. You could definitely fix that. Oh, you know why it doesn't sound as bright? Because I downloaded the instrumental from YouTube, and look at the drop off on this high frequency. Yeah, that's probably it. Okay, so I'm not going to use that too much as a reference for the brightness. But we have a kick here now, so let's do a kick. And this sounds like a pretty standard kick, nothing crazy. Again, I went in, I kind of already worked on it with a sausage pattern, which we don't have on this laptop, so I'm just going to delete that. This F6 kick, I just got it from Splice, which is a website where it sells a bunch of samples. You pay for a membership, and then you can download a certain amount of samples per month. The original kick sounds like this, which is basically what they use, nothing crazy. Let's make that here. There you go. Now let's do a little bit of mixing here. EQ. We don't need that super low end. Anything below 50 really is kind of useless. We also don't need all this top end. Although it seems to have a good impact. Usually right about here. It's fine. Yeah, well, at least you'll be able to listen to the finished product. And then, like I said, I'm live streaming so that I could cut up the clip and make an edited YouTube video after this. But, you know, it's just fun. Just a cool stream. So this is what we have so far. A kick, clap, hi-hats, bass, and the bass pluck. Sounds like this. Pretty fabulous. Right, so we had some other things we need to do. Okay, it has a little... I don't think I have that anymore. I don't think I made that. I think I just forgot about it. So we're actually going to do some real sound design here. First, we need to find the actual note. So let's put Serum in here, which is the synthesizer that I use. And let's find the note that they're playing in that specific note, which is, what the hell? There you go. It's an E. I'm gonna draw that in, I'm not gonna play that. So it's an E3, I think. No, E4. One, two, three. I think the rest is just delay. Yeah, the rest is just delay. So it's just this. Now we actually do the sound design. This is where it gets annoying. This is why I didn't want to do sound design on stream, because you have to loop it over and over and over and over again and make some adjustments here and there. So what I like to do when I'm sound designing and copying a song that already exists is that I like to pan my sound that I'm making, whether to the left or the right, and then pan their song to the opposite side and do some subtractive EQing so I can only listen to the actual frequencies that I'm trying to copy. So this one just sounds a little more, so it sounds a little more like chorusy. Oh yeah, I have a couple music covers out there. I'm gonna link my. Actually, I will just stay with the Spotify. I have some covers in the works, but they're not done yet. So, what am I talking about? Okay, we were making this. I guess this. There you go. See, that's a little better. Now it sounds a little more similar. Now let's put a little bit of distortion. Perfect. And then it sounds like it has a little bit of delay. Definitely some reverb in there. And then some filtering going on. So let's put some EQ on this. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much it. Pretty simple. It has a little extra sound in there that I don't like. It doesn't sound like the original too much because of that one specific thing. I don't think it's an EQ thing. I think it's a synthesizing thing. When in doubt, just change the waveform shape. You just put a bunch of... Nope. I guess it could be a little more. Basically just put an envelope on here so that it only pops up when it's making the actual sound, and then it goes right back down. Maybe it's the wrong type of compression. I mean, of distortion. No, it was closer before. Whatever, this is such a small detail, nobody cares about it. Okay, let's just call this pluck, high pluck, fill. Yeah. What else did we have? Oh yeah, we had a difference in the... Oh yeah, okay, so pop, pop, pop. A little extra claps in there. Whoops. Just remember, whenever you're adding some more rhythmic elements in here, mess with the volume because it makes it sound a little bit more real. Especially like that. And then you have a little what? What does he say? What? Okay. Let's make a new one for that. Call it sound effects. Now these aren't actual effects like send in returns, but these are just like sound effects that come in every now and then. Wow, I've been here for an hour. Fuck me. Okay. We have the little what thing, which is in my user library defaults. What? There you go. So I didn't really do much. Again, I just... Utility, what it does is it lets you control the gain, which I don't know why I did that. That's stupid. I could just put the volume down here. The width describes the phenomenon of mid-side. So there's left, right, and then there's middle. Whenever you're listening to anything with two speakers, it means that it's a stereo signal. Right now you're listening on headphones. I think Twitch streams on stereo, I think. So you're hearing something both on your right ear and on your left ear. Now what makes it stereo is that the two sounds are not identical. Because if you're hearing the exact same sound at the exact same time on both your left and your right ear, that means that your brain is going to perceive it as it coming mono, or just one signal. It's not going to perceive it as two different sounds because both left and right are identical. When they're different, you get this perception. The brain perceives it as something that is in a spatial position. Because think about it this way: if you're standing in a room and there's someone directly in front of you, you are hearing them, and you are hearing their voice in both your right ear and your left ear the exact same volume. But if they're standing on your right, then you hear them more on your right ear than you do on your left. You hear more reverb on your left because of the room reverb. You hear more of other noises, and that gives it a spatial position. Now, how do we apply that to music production? That is how you can attribute space. So there's a limited amount of space that you could use in any kind of sound, in any kind of song, because there's only so many dimensions that you could go out on. So there is the dimension of frequency, which means that there's low frequency, mid frequency, high frequency, from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, so the human ear can hear, although there's a lot of hearing damage going on, pretty prone these days, pretty common. So maybe some people are like 18K, 17K, probably later in life. But the point is that that is one dimension. So a kick is the main power of a kick is in the low, the main power of a vocal is in the mid, and then the main power of like a hi-hat is in the high. So those are the dimensions that you can move on. And all I'm doing here is, when you make it mono, it takes both left and right and makes it identical, or I think it only takes one of them. But if you make it like more wide, then it'll exaggerate the differences between left and right, which will make it sound like this. But if you have it mono, it's like right in the center. So that's all we need to do. What else we have here? We have the first synth. Oh, well, not the first synth, but the first chord. So let's go do that. Let's put in serum. Yes. Whoop. What did I do here? Oh. Okay, there you go. We're back. So, let's see. Serum. Oof. Minus 15. Now for this one, it sounds like the meow synth. I call it the meow synth, or like the no, the meow is another one. I forgot what it was. I think it's womp chord. Yeah, so this one. Although it's a chord though, so let's listen to that. Okay. 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 I can't figure out this melody again. No. Am I crazy here? When did I lose my musical ability? Okay. What even are these notes? There you go. Okay. There you go. There you go. Gotcha. What do we call this synth? A wah synth, maybe? Womp chord. Okay, sure. Maybe it has... Maybe it just has too much top end. That's why it doesn't sound like it. Maybe I could put a filter on here, like an auto filter. I know what it is. It's too much attack. That sounds pretty close. To me, that sounds pretty close. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the song. S, clicking the key S is for solo. Now we're going to continue with these. Now we're going to continue with these, but we're going to get rid of this bass plug and continue this. Ooh! They really cooked with this one, for real. Okay, so this right here, it loses the kick. Does it do the little thing? Oh, it doesn't do the little extra clap thing. And there's a little but I think I'm gonna do that one later. Because it's not an important part of the song. Do you really want to learn how to do that? No, not really. Who cares? What else is next? Oh, right. Okay, so we're missing the stabs. So the disco funk, like the funk stab things, that is literally just a sample, like a violin sample that they got from Splice, and I was able to track it down. So this violin run thing. Whoops. There you go. Yes. There you go. So again, this one's nothing crazy. It's literally just something that I found from Splice. It's a sample that you could buy that they used for the song. It's this. Pretty simple. Let's go here, and we can now duplicate this because I'm lazy. I think that's what happens. Oh no, it goes back. It goes back to this. So. Oof. All right. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and they're using a different hi-hat now. Like an open, okay. It sounds like, okay, so I have this one saved also. This one's in the hats. So we're going to add that into here, hat number 2. Yeah, that's the one. So let's go here. And it's the same pattern as the other one. Nothing crazy. I don't like how it cuts off like that. Yeah, that's better. There you go. It's a little bit panned to the right, which no reason to really do it with a utility. You could just do it on the track. And it helps you keep track of it better, because when you're actually working through the project and you're wondering, hey, is this one panned a little bit? You actually have to go in and click on the track and look at the utility plugin, which kind of wastes the time. You could just pan it on the actual track. And then when you're scrolling up and down, you could very quickly reference, oh, it's panned 10, I don't know, whatever, it's to the right. And again, the gain here, it's okay. It's no real reason to do that. You could just put the volume down on the actual sample itself if you really wanted to. -13. And it's not even that like the utility lets you be more precise. Like on the clip, you could put -13.3 decibels. So like this utility is basically useless unless, nah, I don't need that. Yeah. Nice. And then what? Ooh, the funk. We finally got to the funk. Okay, perfect. So now we can duplicate this again. But instead of the bass pluck, we are going to be using something else. Which, let's bring in Serum. Push. You know what? I'm tired of having to fucking do this every single time. Here's another quick trick. If you guys are adding a new MIDI track or an audio track, and every single time you want it to be at a specific level, then you could just save that track as a preset. So I'm going to add in, for example, this Serum right now. It's at -15. All I got to do here is get rid of everything on that track. And again, you can't see it because like I removed the actual synthesizer from it, but it's still at -15. So I'm going to move this out so that it doesn't save the actual preset as a track with the synthesizer in there. Now that it's at -15, you right click, save as default for MIDI track. So now if I add a MIDI track and place something in here, it is now going to add it at -15 decibels. So every single time that I add a new MIDI track, it's going to add it with the level at -15 dB every time. So much easier. I did the same for my audio tracks at -10. The reason why I had to redo that right now is that I left my vocal at -10 in Ableton. So everything else has to come in lower than that for mixing. So -15, that's done. Anyways, again, that's the melody. That's not what we're using. We're going to my user synths, and it's the funk one, funk cowbell. This one we are going to go over the sound design because I fucking love this synth. So it sounds like this. Whoop. No, it doesn't. That's the wrong octave. That doesn't sound right. Oh, because this one's an E. It should be in B. I think that's what it sounds like. Ooh. Okay, so we're missing a couple of things here. You can tell that in the original instrumental, it has like this kind of ducking, which again is just an external sidechain, external key, sorry. We call this funk bell. So let's do some basic EQing, which I haven't been doing for the other stuff. Terrible. Okay? So we're cutting out all the unnecessary frequencies, really. So this is called sweeping. I just put the volume up really high and I sweep through to find what frequencies are annoying. Like right here, you could tell that's a main frequency. It's not annoying because it's part of the sound. It doesn't hurt your ears. This kind of does, which there's no harm in removing that, you know? It makes everything better. This right here is kind of the impact of it, the attack. So I'm going to put that down. See how these high frequencies are not the attack? They're the actual body. But once you start going down to these mid-highs, the actual impact is in those frequencies. So because we want it to be ducked, there's absolutely nothing wrong with putting those frequencies down so that it sounds like it's being ducked. But we are actually going to duck it. So we're going to put a compressor in here. In Ableton, all you got to do is this. Ableton 12, by the way. Open up this sidechain thing, which is an external key. That's what it should be called. External key, the source. I'm going to have it be the kick because I want it to come in every time the kick comes in. Every time the kick comes in, I want the compressor to actually, you know, act based on that kick. Now there's a sidechain filter here. This is very useful because it has a high pass filter. Oh my god. Low pass filter? There's no way I just forgot this. Yeah, what the hell? A low pass. I always get it mixed up. Okay, so this low pass frequency, it cuts the low frequencies to whatever you set it to be, but only on the input signal that this compressor is going to be using to obey, like the analytical signal, the sidechain, remember? So that means that if it's a kick and you filter it up to 15,000, then you only get the very top end of the kick, which means that the attack is super short and it doesn't have any of that decay or the body of the kick, which is not what we want. We want the thump. We want the kick, the pop, only the attack. So we're going to filter it, I don't know, maybe around 1,000 and see how it sounds. So that's super smashing it, exaggerating it. Again, the attack should be nothing. The release should be pretty short. And notice how it doesn't act on the actual impact of the sound when the kick is not sounding. So it doesn't take away from the attack of the sound. It only takes away from the attack of the sound when the kick comes in. Why is that important? It is important because you want the transient of the kick to be the most important transient. You don't want it to be fighting with the transient of a funk cowbell synthesizer. You want the kick to have the impact, not the synthesizer. So when you play them together, it sounds like this. Which we're also missing some, oh, we're missing the what. I'll put in the what right now. Where is it? Oh, I guess it's already in there. What we're missing is, again, that stupid but we're not going to do that right now. It has kind of like a choir thing going on, so I synthesized that already as well. Plugins. It's in my user library. Where is it? User. And I called it chorus or something. Choir. Yeah, there you go. So this, that's what they have going on. That one. In the background, it's kind of like a supporting. It adds, it kind of has the effect of being reverb for the funk cowbell. Oof. Okay. Obviously, it's not that loud. Now, again, the same thing has to happen with this compressor. So we're removing some of the frequencies that we don't need, and we are removing the transient. Yeah, I found it on the first try. Crazy. Again, nothing crazy. We don't need to be super... There you go. It sounds like in the original song it has a little bit more of a release. No reverb. There you go. That's better. Okay, so this one doesn't have the what, but it does have the extra claps. Again, I copied this whole 4-bar, this whole bar here, because if you copy from a bar here, from 5 to 9, 4 bars, 4 beats, whatever, you know exactly where it's going to be coming in. You just got to go 4 beats before that's supposed to come in and you paste it. But if you want to go slowly, then you can come in, take these two, and then guess, not guess, but slowly go in and zoom in and then click where you want it to be pasted. It's a little bit of an easier trick to just copy from space before, you know? All right. Also, I don't think it has that many hi-hats. Yeah, that sounds better. Sounds more like the actual song. Okay, here's another. Has a lot of delay apparently. That impact has a lot of delay apparently, so let's go to the delay. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's on a 4 beat. Oh wait, it's another one. Yeah, it is another one. Wow. I guess I forgot about that. User library. Percussion shaker? No, it's a disco stab. I only have one disco stab. Oh, I have a violin. So this is a disco stab. This is where this comes in. That. Again, that's also just something they got off of Splice. They didn't make this. I found this. It's called TAUSC Disco Stab. You know, you could buy this on Splice. Although what they did do is that it feels like they kind of removed some of the melodic elements of it. It doesn't sound like it's that. It sounds like it has an external key going down with the kick. What? Why am I not hearing anything? Oh, because there's no kick here yet. Duh. Okay, that's a little better. They also, it sounds like they used an over-the-top compressor to get rid of some of the, yeah, that's more like it. Oh, and also it's shorter. And it has a lot of delay. And if you don't want to have that attack on the delay, then just like everything else, you have the send and you have the ability to change how you send this stab to the delay. So you can send it like that and not send the actual transient, and the delay won't have a transient like this. Is that fucking crazy or what? You could always do this. Huge difference. Now, the way that they did it, they got rid of the transient, but they didn't completely eviscerate it. Yeah, I guess that's fine. And then what happened here? Back to this. So now that we have, I think we have all the elements done. Now we can move it around like sections. That's why I like to group them together. So if you pay attention, you see that I have a group for the drums, kick, clap, hi-hat, 2 hats, sound effects, this is the what, the bass, which is by itself, the melody, bass pluck, oh, that one should actually be together. Bass. The funk cowbell, what is this? Choir. Choir ahs. Anyway, now that we have all of this together, in Ableton, it's super easy to just do that and move it around. So right now we're looking for the pluck. Yeah. And they got rid of the extra hi-hat too. Duplicate it again. Duplicate it again. Ooh, okay, so we gotta make that. Although, technically, it's already there. So if we really wanted to, we just cut some of this here. Oh shit. We just cut this here. And that's it. You just repeat it. You just kind of... So when you just repeat it like this, see how it has the little click? A click when it starts over. That's because the sound wave isn't perfectly lined up. Although I'm not going to perfectly line it up, I'm going to be lazy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend it this way. And Ableton has this feature where you can crossfade. So I'm going to crossfade between them. You just got to make sure that... You see how there's a little dip in volume when it crossfades between the two clips? Ableton gives you the ability to adjust the fade. Like, is that cool or what? So now you can even see it. You can even see it right here, how you are affecting the sound wave. So what I want is for it to just stay consistent. All right, that's fine. I guess not. Well, another way to do it is to just do this. You warp it, you place it on beats, and then you just extend it, like ×2 it. Transients are weird. Maybe Complex Pro does a pretty good job too. But it adds that little grain. I don't like that grain. Maybe texture. What? Where is it? It's thinking about this clap right here. Maybe I should do this. Yeah, there you go. And if you want to smooth anything out, you could just put a reverb on it. let's make the size really small. Pre-delay non-existent. Decay also basically non-existent. Do not EQ anything. And don't add chorus. Although, again, that's not synthesization. To synthesize this, I already did synthesize it. Because I'm a fucking nerd. Serum is where I made this. And I have it in user FX noise tone. So that one is my recreation of this, which it looks like it goes on for 3 bars. What? I think that's it. Or not. There you go. Found it. Okay, so it sounds like this now. Oh, also big surprise, it doesn't have any fucking reverb right there. For good reason, because it's by itself. So we can automate this. So when you are in Ableton and you don't have the key, the keyboard key toggle thing, then you can press the letter A and it toggles between seeing the automation for the volume and not being able to see it, or volumation for whatever it is. So if you're on the pan, it'll show you the automation of the pan. Click on the volume, it'll show you the automation for the volume. You click on the volume for the reverb audio effect track and it'll show you that. And that is where you can use, again, if this is off, you can press the letter B and it gives you the pencil or pencil, which I like to call it. And you can just draw the automation in. No reverb. Another quick fact, if you want to be able to move, let's say you didn't want it to have 0, but you wanted to have some, you can do that. And then with the bottom of the mouse, you see how it kind of gets selected? You can click on it and drag it up and down. So you can change the volume of this entire clip where you place these two separators on. You don't call them separators, I don't know what you call them. Whatever these things are called. So maybe just a little bit less reverb in that part should be nice. Would be fine. He says what? So let's get the what. Where's the what?
Just like crazy.
Oh, that's the acapella. That's the acapella, sorry. Okay, so that one right here is another thing, since we're teaching Ableton, I guess. You can add locators throughout the entire song. For example, right now we have this, which I'm going to call Womp Synth Intro. This is the bass block. This is the funk. This is the noise break. And then we're going back to the bass block. Now we don't actually need this stab because it's not in the original song, I think. Oh, we're not going to the bass block, sorry. We're going to oh, I just realized that the bass pluck should be happening there too. There you go. Yeah, that's better. Anyway, so I just found out that that's not actually the synth that we're using here. We're using a new synth. Sorry, here. Listen to this. That's a different synth. So let's go into Serum. I already made the synth as well. I think I called it chord choppy. I think. Yep. Because it has two of these. It has this. What's going on here? Oh, it's not soloed. Whoop. Also a mistake right there. Wow. Okay. And now we also have the other chord, which is a different synthesizer, which I also made here. I think I called it harder, something harder saw. It sounds like this. Doesn't sound right. Okay, so definitely no high octave. That sounds more like it. Uh-huh. That sounds like it. Whoops. What is that about? Let's put the bass in here. And I don't remember if the bass plug. It's not. Then we go back to the funk. Let me just do this. Oh, okay, another quick tip. If you want to copy something from Ableton like this, you can copy the entire MIDI clips. But if you want to copy the automation inside those tracks, you don't just copy the MIDI clips, then you can make sure that this thing is off. If you copy it, let's do some weird automation here. Doesn't really matter what it is. Probably could have done that with a pencil. If you want to copy this automation and be able to duplicate it with Command D, you can do that. But if you have this lock on, automation lock, it'll only duplicate what you have selected, but not the automation. So that's one thing. Another thing, if you want to copy the entire section over like this, what you could do is just select all elements of the song and copy it and paste it. But if you want to copy the exact same time signature and everything in it, like take the entire piece of the project, including the song tempo and all the other automation from all the other parts, and delete that part of that selection, like the time itself, then you go Command Shift X. If you just go Command X, you only copy and you only cut what you have selected. If you do Command C, you only copy what you have selected. If you do Command Shift X, you will copy everything and that time itself. So Command Z will undo, Command Shift Z will redo. That's why you saw that part disappear of the funk right here when I did this, and then I did Command Z. It's just a habit that I have. Anyway, so it sounds like the rest of the song just repeats. So let's go ahead and fill it in. Okay, and we have this thing. Oh, there's no clap this time. And there's no what this time either. Oh wait, the what was right before the beat drops. Of course it is. Why would it be there? Dumbass. Call this glam. Or what do you call this? I don't know what you call it. Doesn't matter. Put that back here. Duplicates. Wow. Okay, again. Whoops. Okay, looks like that's the entire song. So now let's bring in the acapella. Can you hear my dogs barking? Sorry about that. Okay, so let's add in the acapella, which is just the filtered acapella. It is not anything else. I don't think it's even filtered. I think it's just... So let's listen to it.
Act like an angel, just like crazy.
Which, those vocals are fucking amazing. I guess they did the panning so that people can't, like, steal it. Because I don't remember the panning being there in the original song. Anyway, the point is that now that we have this, we can listen to the entire song because I recreated the instrumental. So let's hear it and we can rate it.
Act like an angel, just like crazy. Act like an angel, just like crazy.
I think we did a pretty good job. There you go.
Act like an angel. Crazy. Act like an angel, just like crazy.
Which really annoying that they fucking made that panning. The whole point of that part is that it's mono. Yeah. Which it pisses me off how good the recording is for this. Like, listen to this. How compressed, how well EQ'd it is. That is smashed. Anyway. Another quick tip is that if you want to have a better mix between your instrumental and your vocals, for example this, you find the resonant frequencies or the main frequencies of the vocal, for example, like this. Let's go with F6 because I've been using EQ8 from Ableton. Well, let's stay on Ableton. No need to bring in a different EQ.
Act like an angel, just like crazy.
There's an important part, 220. 500 for sure. 1000 is kind of annoying, but 1.5 is fine. 3 is where they get all the high end. Oof, and that's just air. Okay, got it. So now we go into the melody, which is why it's important to group everything together. You put an EQ8 on here and you put it down on 500, down on 1.5K, down on 3K. And this is just very generic. You could actually listen to it yourself. You can hear that it doesn't make a big difference on the actual melodies. You could up the scale too. And all it does is cut out the frequencies that are specifically being used by the vocal. So if you're cutting out those frequencies on the melody, what do you think that's going to do for the rest of the song? It's going to open up more space for the rest of the elements of the song to come in, specifically the vocal, which uses those specific frequencies more than anything. Which means that when the vocal uses those frequencies, the melody will be out of the way. Now, even better, if you want to do one even better, you could bring in F6. I like to use them with the RTA. And you can make the exact same changes, but this time, down on 500, down on 1.5K, down on 3K. Again, like I said, we don't need to bring it down too much, nothing crazy. But the difference of being able to use F6 or Pro Q, for example, is that you can do an external key. Sidechain source, external. Yeah, that means that it'll duck down dynamically when another instrument or whatever other track plays, which is amazing because it's only going to duck those specific frequencies when the vocals come in. So I'm going to use the external sidechain, external key as the vocals. And have it go down, let's have it go down 2 decibels every time that something comes in. With the range, again, external, and you, external, range minus 2 dB. Now, I've done this in Pro Q, but I haven't done this in F6. My question is, where do I route it? Global release. Usually this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. But I guess this time it's not. So we're going to do something that a lot of producers sometimes don't like to do because it hurts their ego. But I'm going to go online. I'm going to look up the actual manual for the F6 because it's going to help me. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, floating band dynamic. Good. It is dynamic. How do I use the dynamic EQ is more like... Okay, route the lead vocal to F6 as an external sidechain. Group the instruments to stereo bus, insert the F6, route the lead vocal to F6. So you have to route it from here, from the actual vocal. I guess we'll just add in a return track. Whoop. I guess I forgot the keyboard shortcut to add a return track. Command Option T. That's what I did. Anyways, whatever. Vox sidechain. We're actually gonna have the volume. I have this turned off because we don't actually want it to do anything. The third send is this Vox sidechain. So now that we do this, you see how it comes in because it's sending the signal. Now I guess on the melody, we just I'm a fucking idiot. The sidechain input is right here. Okay, there you go. So the sidechain input will be vocals. Where is it? Crazy acapella. Perfect. That means we don't actually need this return track. Whatever, we'll delete it. Remember we talked about the threshold? So if the threshold is too high, then this specific band of the EQ will never activate. But if you set the threshold low enough, looks like the threshold is minus 42. Crazy. Now let's listen to it. Oh, my mistake. Don't do this, guys. I put in an F6 RTA mono instead of a stereo one. Now that it's stereo, it'll sound like the way it's actually supposed to sound like. Threshold, again, we said minus 42. And the range, we said minus 2 dB. So 1.5K. And then this one too. I forgot what we did. I think it was 3K. So now let's pay attention to this. Let's solo the melody and their vocal. See how it only goes down when the vocal comes in? That's when these specific bands start acting. And it gives more space to the vocal. Not a huge difference. And again, it doesn't make the actual melodic instruments sound any worse. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. If anyone... Gavin the Maker, what's up, Gavin? I'm just live streaming so that I could edit a YouTube video out of this later. Basically what I did is I recreated the instrumental for the song Crazy by Les Seraphim. It's a K-pop song. We can listen to the whole thing now, if there's anyone here. Just so you're not sitting in a random live stream with nothing going on. Sounds like this. Which, that's the bass. Bass pluck. We can mute the acapella because it's a specific track.
move like crazy. Yeah, 내 심장이 강해. 너 CPR. 전기 is pumping. 미쳤대 candy sassy. You run it, check it again.
That was one of my favorite synths. I love that. Anyway, we're not making a song, we're just showcasing this.
Be sassy. You run it, check it again. 내 머릿속은 뭉클어 같지. 적당히 미치려 했지.
Now, another trick to make everything sound more cohesive, not a trick, but a technique, is that during mixing, you want to go in and EQ every single thing specifically. The point of EQing is to get the important parts of the sound while removing the unimportant parts of the sound, which are just muddying up the mix. Because again, there's a limited amount of space that we have inside every song that we make. Sonic space. There's the frequencies, low frequency, mid frequency, high frequency, going from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz that the humans can hear. And then there is also the mid side. Remember we talked in the beginning of the stream about stereo sounds. When something is different from your left ear to the right ear, it sounds like it's stereo. Your brain registers it that way. So there's different spaces right there too. You can have something be mono, which means that it's identical on both ears, so it sounds like it's right in the center. Something that is more stereo or off to the side, which means that there's a difference between the left and the right signal, which your brain interprets it on something on the sides, quite literally. So that's another layer that we could use for mixing. So there's the EQing for the frequency spectrum. There is the positioning, the track positioning for the left and right. And sometimes you go up to like almost Atmos, Dolby, like 5.1, 7.1. Then you have a bunch of other different positions, not just the 3.0. Right now we're working on a 3.0 because, well, not really. Right now I'm working on just the stereo sound because it's left and right. In my studio, I'm working on a 3.0 because I have left speaker, right speaker, and the sub. If I put in more monitors, I have an ability to work in 5.1 by having a center speaker, left and right, sub, and it adds up and goes on more and more and more and more and more. The other way that you can layer sounds in a song is what I was talking about right now is the reverb and delay. So that's spatial positioning, and not just left, right, but it makes it go further down. So have you ever had this happen to you where you're talking to somebody and they're right in front of you, you can hear them very clearly, but if you're talking to them and you're screaming at them, they're far away, you hear less of their original vocal and more of their vocal interacting with everything around them. Like the actual reverb in this room, like, hey, 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 sounds a whole lot different than this. Hey. So the difference there is that it sounds like it's further back in space because you hear less of the actual sound and more of the reverberation. Hey, hey, sounds like I'm further away, just like a knocking. Sounds like it's knocking from somewhere further away because you hear more of the echo and less of the original sound. So that's another way that you can layer things at. If you have two sounds that are both mono right in the center and you don't want them to clash with each other, you can EQ them and you can put some spatial positioning, put some reverb on one of them, a mono reverb, a stereo reverb, a slap delay, a stereo delay, and it'll put it in a different position in space within the song. And then obviously the other, one of the most basic things in the song is that you layer it by space, by time. So you don't want to have what we did with the side chaining so that the synthesizers go down upon the impact of the kick. That's another thing because you're layering it in different times in space. So both the attack or both the transient of the synth and the transient of the bass and the transient of the kick are not sounding at the same time because the transient of the kick activates a compressor which has an external key or a sidechain. A lot of people like to call it sidechain. That means that they're not hitting at the same time. So that's another way to layer it and have a cleaner mix. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't spend too much on this. I think it took me about an hour to actually do the sound design for everything. So all in all, maybe this remake took me about 6 hours with the with the composition and production and everything I did right here on stream with you guys, plus all the preparation from beforehand. So it's really not that crazy to be able to make these kinds of sounds or these kinds of songs if you have the right tools and you have the right know-how. A lot of the time, you might actually have the sound like this funk cowbell, but it might sound great, but you can't do anything with it if you don't know what to make the sound of it. Like, does that sound like a good song? No, you gotta actually know how to compose and whatnot. Have a good idea of the genre. You don't want to be making a funk song and then it's like, like you don't want to be making a hip hop song and it doesn't have any hi hats. You got to know the style of what you're making as well. So again, this is just a really quick recap of the stuff that I want to show you guys. Please hit the subscribe button, the follow button. If you're watching this live, click the follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the subscribe button. Hopefully, soon I'll be putting out more and more videos like this, remakes of popular songs, remixing songs, showing you guys how to make specific genres. So leave a comment if you want to do anything specific, like you want to learn how to make hardstyle EDM or like drill beats or like something more Latin. I'm from Mexico and I'm a producer in a lot of Latin rhythms too, so I know how to make reggaeton, dembow, merengue, cumbia, salsa, bachata, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys next time. My name is Jair with Danger Beats Music, and this is my remake of the song Crazy by Les Seraphim. Let's take a listen. This is my instrumental, and I'm going to be muting the acapella or the vocals every now and then so we can see or hear what it sounds like.
Act like an angel.
Let's turn that on.
Act like an angel and dress like crazy.
A big part of the song are the vocals. Act like an angel and dress like. Act like an angel and dress like crazy. All the girls are yelling, yelling. 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 All the girly girls. All right. So we can go through and listen to each synth individually. Just for the video's sake, I don't know what I'm going to need for the editing. So here's the kick. Pretty nice. Add the clap in. Some hi-hats. A what? We could add the bass. sub bass. The bass pluck is right here. We have this funk cowbell coming in. And this choir. We have this high pluck fill thing going on right here. It's gonna come in right now. I don't think it's panned, I think it should be in the middle. We have this womp chord thing. We have a stronger womp. We have this violin fill, which they just got from Splice. They just got from Splice, I stole it from there. Well, I didn't steal it, I paid for it. There's this disco stab, and then we have the acapella. And that's pretty much all the elements of this track. I'm going to be uploading this session and all the Serum presets over to my website once I make the website. So if you guys want to download this and recreate some EDM/funk/K-pop type beat stuff with it, go ahead. Just, change it up a little. Don't download it and change the notes a little bit. Like, actually make something new with it. You will get copyrighted. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you everyone who joined. It looks like we only had a couple of viewers, but again, we only live streamed so that I could edit the YouTube video. Now I'm gonna go get to work. So thank you everybody. See you next time.